Hey TV fans, Bored now back with you. On this video I'm going to be talking about Star Trek Discovery Season 5 Episode 7. The episode is called Erigah, however you say it, Erigah is how you spell the episode title. Full spoilers from the start of this review, as always. So this one is a little bit better. Like, I really wasn't into last week's, and I haven't been into a lot of the episodes this season. This one, I would say, is probably just by default one of the better ones. I think there's a bit more Trek type ideas going on with the politics and some of the discussions with it. And it definitely has its moments. Like, it does have some decent comedy. I enjoy like the cameo from Reno once again. She's always good value. I sort of feel with her maybe she would overstay her welcome if she was in it longer, so it's almost like they've got the perfect sort of cameo for her. And I did enjoy the scene with her telling like Tilly and Adira about all her many jobs, and then they're suggesting that she'd had a lot of sex over the years, and like the reactions from the two of them. No, that was a fun scene. She's always good value, and there's moments like that in it, but the trouble is it's such a plodding episode, and it just really takes its time way too much, and just ends up feeling a bit bland and cliched mostly. Overall, it's probably just a case of I'm not really into the Moore and Locke stuff enough to really care about them in this episode and to care about the other characters and their part in the episode. So I'll explain what it is. Then Moore and Locke are in this containment facility, and it's Locke, isn't it, the alien? Locke is injured and in quite critical condition, but you have the alien / robots who are like the same race who Locke worked for, and we saw that in the flashbacks. They're on their way to pick him up, and for a long time Michael and co don't know why, but they're having their own debate and conflict discussing whether they can intervene, because they're on Bree territory. They're not really, it wouldn't really be legal for them to like intervene, even though they're saying things like we should help them because he's injured, and obviously they've got a vested interest in anyway. So there's a lot of the politics going around, and as I said, some of those ideas are perfectly fine. You've got Saru's girlfriend, or future wife as I always call her, the president. She makes an appearance. She has quite a choice scene with Rayner where she accuses him of being a bit of a xenophobe, because they have a debate over the merits of the primer, they're called, and you know, should they do business with them, and she sort of puts him in his place, but he's arguing back about there's certain directives and it comes from their side, so they're almost the ones being xenophobic is the argument he's making. But stuff like that is quite good. It's solid. It's not like scintillating, but it's got a little bit more of a Trek vibe and was a bit more interesting to watch than a lot of the rubbish we've had this season. And a good moment for Michael, I thought, in the episode, because once she saw Rayner being Rayner once again, and like getting on the back of like the president, she dismissed him and said, can you go outside for a moment? And then she negotiated and persuaded the president to let her and the crew have an involvement. And then she goes outside and she does give Rayner like a bit of a warning, a bit of a telling off. So I like that as a moment from Michael, because it was a smart bit of like captain work. like the way she defused the situation and negotiated it. It was probably one of the best things Michael has done on the show like that. So, but what it all comes down to is you've got I think it's the uncle of Locke who's coming to pick him up, and it's again to do with him escaping with Moore all that time ago and screwing over the company, if you like. And that's what the conflict is about. And it's to do with Locke obviously having this heritage that links him to this bloodline. And it would mean if they get hold of him, then it means then this other character can take over and can be like the leader, if you like. So that's the tension of the episode, but really it's not much of a tension. So first of all, these robots just look really ridiculous. They don't look very Star Trek. They look more like Star Wars or maybe Battlestar Galactica. But they just have a silly look, and any time they're on screen, they take me out of what's happening. And there's not a lot of history with them, so I really don't care. And once again, they pile on the cheese with Maul and Locke. They really pile it on something rotten. So, again, it's very melodramatic. And although I've quite enjoyed them this season in small doses, particularly Maul, it just feels like they've overplayed it now, and that we're getting a lot of repetitive beats because it feels like we've been there before with them, with obviously Michael and the crew having a certain amount of we're trying to do the right thing by these characters, but at the same time we're also trying to bring them in. So you've got this weird middle ground where they're not like full-blown villains, even though they're a lot of times they do act like that. And the episode just got really contrived as it went along, with them determined that they weren't going to be treated. At one point, it looks like Locke is going to die because he injects himself with this formula which puts him on death's door, and things escalate from there. Like Maul tries to escape and tries to help Locke escape, and you've got these quite silly fight scenes involving them, and like who's involved because he's like the Doctor, but just the melodrama of it, as I said, and the repetition is what I didn't really care about, because later on when it looks like Locke is dying, you've got this cheesy dialogue from Maul saying, "This isn't how our story's supposed to end." And it's just terrible, and it's a bit of a shame because, as I said, Maul, especially earlier in the season, even though her lines were a bit like action movie, like villain, I was quite into them as characters, her especially, but I just think the script has got too repetitive with them and has lost ideas of what to do with them. But the episode comes to a head with quite an interesting dilemma, because when it looks like Locke has died, Maul appeals to like these, I'll just call them robots for want of a better word, but the leader of them, Primer, I think his name is, but she appeals to him and says, if you take me with you, I can help you get the power that you're after. So she convinces him to do that, and the others, especially Book, are against this. So Book does have a bit of a role in this because he has this link to Maul, and at the beginning of the episode you get the commander coming back, who we haven't seen for a while, and she kind of slaps Book down and says, you've got a personal agenda, you maybe can't think straight, so you're not involved in this mission. And then we get little bits of him throughout the episode, like he starts helping Stannis with like the clue, because Stannis is trying to figure out one side of the clue, and you've got Tilly and Adira trying to figure out the other. Like, one's figuring out the science, the other is figuring out another part of it. So for the want of something to do, because he's twiddling his thumbs, Book ends up helping Stannons. But when this all comes to a head, he's obviously the big objector to say, no, we can't just let her go with it, with these guys. It's too dangerous. But they overrule Book. The president overrules Book. And he just has then a little bit of a hissy fit. And another problem is the Book does feel very expendable in this episode. And I just don't quite buy the link to him and Moore. I just don't quite buy that he would be that concerned or that bothered. I understand the blood link, and it's something different for Book, but it's just not enough for me. It's not enough to convince me that he would be this upset about it and this kind of principled. But he's overruled because the president says then this might be the best case scenario and we might not have a lot of choice. It sort of keeps us in good faith with these people. And Michael later figures out that Moore is doing it because she hopes they can still save Locke. Like, then there's still a chance Locke can be revived with the power. So she is convinced, and that's why she's doing it. And we just end once again with them figuring out the clue and figuring out where the next location is, and they head off to that. But at the same time, this thing with Moore is going to be ongoing, obviously. So it's another pretty mediocre episode. Not the worst for sure, and as I said, things in it that I quite enjoyed, but it was just very plodding and tedious to sit through, and that's the best way to describe it. Is overall it just didn't engage me that much, bar 2 or 3 moments. So yep, Star Trek Discovery for another week, episode 7 of season 5. So we're just a few away now from the finale of the show. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like and subscribe as always. Share me out on social media, and you can support me for as little as $1 a month on patreon.com/borednow for some extra perks, including a new Unpopular Opinion series of videos which I've just started on there. You can get early access to the first one, or they will become exclusive on Patreon after that. But thanks for supporting the channel. See you guys soon. Bye.